The moment the shy waitress lifted her trembling hands and began to sign, the entire restaurant seemed to forget how to breathe. Plates froze mid-air, silverware stopped clinking, and a hush fell so suddenly it felt sacred. No one expected kindness to arrive so quietly, carried by nervous fingers and a heart that had been ignored for far too long. Happen next would leave a billionaire stunned, a mother weeping, and an entire room forever changed. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and small moments that change lives, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Support helps keep these heartfelt stories alive and reaching people who need them most. Her name was Maribel Hayes, a 23-year-old waitress with soft brown eyes and a habit of apologizing even when things weren't her fault. She worked the morning shift at a modest downtown cafe flooded with daylight through tall glass windows. Maribel moved quietly between tables, careful not to draw attention to herself. She had learned early in life that being invisible was safer. Growing up in foster homes had taught her to listen more than speak, to notice pain in others while swallowing her own. Few people knew was that Maribel carried a skill she had taught herself as a lonely teenager: sign language, learned late at night from borrowed library books so she could speak to a foster sister who never heard her voice. That morning, a black luxury car stopped outside the cafe. Curious glances. Inside stepped an older woman with silver hair neatly pinned back, her posture elegant but uncertain. She was escorted by a sharply dressed man whose presence commanded the room without a word. This was Alistair Crown, a self-made billionaire known for his iron discipline and intimidating reputation. Beside him was his mother, Eleanor Crown, who had been deaf since childhood, and often felt like a shadow even in her son's powerful world. They were seated near the window, sunlight spilling across the table. Eleanor smiled politely at the surroundings, though her eyes held a familiar loneliness. Alistair spoke for her, ordering briskly, barely noticing the way his mother's gaze wandered, searching for connection she rarely received. When Maribel approached with water glasses, she noticed Eleanor's eyes brighten slightly, moving without sound as she tried to read the room. Something inside Maribel stirred. Her hands shook as she hesitated, fear urging her to stay silent. She had been mocked before for signing in public, told she looked strange, told to stop. But when Eleanor's eyes met hers, hopeful and uncertain, Maribel made a choice. She gently set the glass down and lifted her hands, signing a simple greeting, her movements slow and careful, her face warm with respect. Eleanor's breath caught. Her eyes widened, then filled instantly with tears. She signed back, fingers fluttering with emotion, asking if Maribel truly understood her. Maribel nodded, her own eyes shining, signing that she did. She was happy to speak this way. The two women connected instantly, their silent conversation flowing like music no one else could hear. Eleanor laughed soundlessly, joyful expression Alistair hadn't seen in years. Alistair watched, confused at first, then deeply unsettled. He had spent billions building empires, yet here was a shy waitress offering his mother something priceless he never had: understanding without effort, dignity without impatience. As Eleanor reached out and gently held Maribel's hands in gratitude, Alistair's eyes blurred. The room noticed him wiping his face, the powerful man undone by a moment of pure humanity. For the first time, Alistair truly saw how often his mother had been unheard, even by him. He saw how Maribel's courage transformed a simple meal into healing. When Eleanor finished, she signed something slowly, deliberately. Maribel's hands trembled as she translated aloud, saying Eleanor felt seen for the first time in years. The cafe remained silent, patrons quietly wiping their eyes. Alistair stood, his voice thick with emotion, and thanked Maribel in a way that carried genuine humility. In that moment, something shifted for all of them. For Maribel, it was the realization that her quiet kindness had value. For Eleanor, it was the warmth of being understood. For Alistair, it was the awakening that love required more than protection, it required presence. As the morning light continued to pour through the windows, hope lingered in the air. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, and share this video so others can feel it too. And just before we end, leave a comment telling us what kindness means to you. It truly matters. Because sometimes, the smallest, shyest gestures speak the loudest, and in daylight moments like these, hearts learn how to listen again.